First one is based on a conversation I had with Mike Furry, wide receivers coach, during media day on Thursday. If you kind of bring it forward to today during practice, let's contextualize. For those that don't know, basically today in practice, we got 3 periods. So we're watching the guys in the indoor facility stretch, warm up, then out to the field. And frankly, it's a lot of drill work. We saw some kicks. We saw the O-line going through drills. We saw receivers catching short passes and working on getting upfield. It's a lot of like eyeballing guys. They're in shorts and helmets and jerseys. They're not getting to, mandatory acclimatization period. See if I can say that right. Per the NCAA before they can get there. And so short, not a lot going on yet. Tomorrow, Saturday, we'll get 5 periods. We get one more practice viewing window for the media later in preseason when they will be in pads. And we'll hear some things along the way. But I do want to go with receiver. And it's not as much as what we saw today. Because frankly, aside from, hey, there's Sequel Patterson for the first time, wearing 23. And some of the things that we've heard, and you're kind of eyeballing him. Yeah, smooth, he moves around. We know he's a good athlete. It was more about what Furry said. And one of the things that I wanted to ask him in that setting was, how are you going to handle this receiver rotation this year? We know, I think, a couple things about that group. Number one, we know Nick Harbor's a starter. No doubt about it. We know that there's a lot of competition in that room, and it's a combination of some older transfer guys, a DJ Black, it's returners, and then some new guys that you've added in, a Nitro Tuggle, some of the returners, even the guys that didn't factor in as much last year from that 2025 class, Alex Cyrus, a Jordan Gidron, a Malik Clark, Donovan Murph played a lot last year, Jaden Sellers. We think, maybe not know, but think that Jaden Sellers has a great shot to be another starter, which leaves, if you're talking about a 3-man set, it leaves another receiver. But I was curious, Wes, Mike Furry, is he trying to roll out, hey, we got such great competition, we're going to split it between 6 guys more? Or is it going to be more 3 or 4 guys, and then let's see who else can play? What he landed on, Wes, was, hey, I like to get guys in the game and into a rhythm. And you don't really want to, I'm kind of paraphrasing this part, disrupt that. So it seems like, at least heading into preseason camp, the approach that Furry is taking is, we want to find the guys that we can ride with as starters, and then everybody else is competing, try to get out there on the field, right? I don't think you're going to have 6 guys taking relatively equal snaps. That's just my read on it based on talking to Furry. But it's a fascinating room because you do have so many guys that seem capable, that do have talent. I think he's going to be looking for, as far as who gets on the field, who can be the most consistent during preseason camp.
Yeah, and I think there's a little bit of, from what I've heard, Kendall Briles' influence in there too, that I don't know necessarily that Briles wants to rotate his wide receivers, play after play after play. Now, that doesn't mean that 6 guys can't play and that you aren't going to have a depth chart and a rotation and all those things. But these tempo guys, man, they really do not like to sub unless there's already a break, right? And I think Beamer will probably downplay the tempo elements that have been added to this offense a little bit preseason, as you might expect from a head coach. But let's be honest, even if you're not in tempo all the time, this offense has been built with the foundation of tempo. Like, they can turn that thing on at any point. And a lot of these guys, man, like that's built in. So if I sub, so can my opponent. And that's not necessarily even from a personnel standpoint. Like, do I have 3 receivers on the field? Do I have 2 tight ends on the field? Do I have 2 running backs on the field? Whatever it may be. Yes, the defense is going to try to match their personnel. A lot of defenses will, based on that. But even if I'm in a 3 wide and I rotate in a different wide receiver and I'm still in 3 wide, that gives the defense and we've seen defenses play with this, right? And take advantage of the rules, right? So multiple guys are going to play. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're one of these dudes who can take hold of one of those spots, you're really going to have a lot of opportunities, I think. And I also think if you have a great week of practice and you are deemed the starter for a given week at that position, there's going to be a little pressure on you to go play and perform and to do well and to keep holding on to that spot, man, which competition is good for everybody, but it does put a little pressure on that group. And, I think Nick Harbor, he's going to be on the field, and obviously there's always the caveat we're talking about if these guys are all healthy and good to go and 100%. Nick will be on the field. I think Mazio is certainly pushing in that slot position, but if they were kicking off right now, I think Jaden Sellers is probably running out there in the slot, and it's certainly going to be one of those two guys. We'll see if Sequel can push into that mix. But, dude, if we're talking about who else is rolling out there, is it Nitro Tuggle? Is it DJ Black? Is it our guy Donovan Murph? Is it a situation where one of the dudes we're talking about in the slot is one of your best three receivers and you say, let's get Mazio on the field? I don't think that's completely out of the realm of possibility. Is it somebody that comes up, our guy over here, Golfing True, mentions, hey, Jaden Gibson looks like a massive kid. And he is. And I actually, to be completely honest with you guys, from a transparency standpoint, I saw him walk in at media day and I said, I need to chat with him. And then I got sidetracked and I never did. And I wanted to just talk to him about where are you at in terms of how you feel, in terms of 100%, 90%. Sometimes you can be healthy, but not football ready. Where are you in that? Jaden Gibson is the guy, we've talked about it, Chris, that he could play no snaps game one, or he could have the talent is there, the ability is there, the upside is there. He could go out there and all of a sudden, Chris, we could start hearing, wow, this Jaden Gibson guy has seemingly come a little bit out of nowhere and it is pushing everyone in front of him. And, people may listen and say, well, duh, you could say that about anybody. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the ability to do that, the upside, the talent to do that is not there for anybody. It is with this guy. And frankly, the crazy thing about this room, not that we've heard quite as much buzz about some of the other guys that we haven't mentioned, but if one of them wakes up and just says, I'm taking over, it's not out of the realm of possibility that this rotation gets flipped a little bit based on what happens over the next 4 weeks. So if I'm one of these dudes we haven't mentioned yet, if I'm Malik Clark, if I'm Lex Cyrus, if I'm Jordan Gidron, I mean, I'm never completely counting somebody out because those guys are talented as well.
Yeah. Well, and it'd be different if South Carolina had 3 senior wide receivers coming back, who were all established and had all started for South Carolina all 12 games last year. We wouldn't be having as much of this conversation, right? But, there's really one guy that's in that category, and it's Nick Harbor. Now, Jaden Sellers certainly came on last year. I think people kind of forgot how well he played at times last year, some of the plays that he made and what he can do, even in year one. A lot of people just, oh, that's Lenoris's brother, right? But he's a really good player. If his name was Lenoris Smith or Jaden Smith, it's like he's not just Lenoris's brother. And, the competition is tight. And to your point, it can change, what it is in game one. They might get out there game one and have 3 or 4 guys that are like, we think these are our guys game one. And then if you get the opportunity to play some others against Kent State, some other guys really impress, like in a game setting, actual game setting in Williams-Brice. And, that's going to catch the attention of Mike Furry and Kendall Browse and Shane Beamer. So just a lot of competition there. I think, Wes, when you look at most of the guys that we mentioned in that room, the thing about it is you don't really get the sense that the guys we're talking about, you're like, it's just not going to happen this year or maybe ever. Like we've heard anecdotes And there's probably levels to it, right? But we've heard anecdotes about all those guys where it's like, this guy had a really good day. This guy had a really good week. This guy does this thing really, really well. You know, Lex Cyrus, one of the fastest guys on the team, maybe the best leaper on the team. You know, now, is he the best receiver? Not at this point. You know, is he one of the best football players? We don't know that yet. But all these guys, I think, have a chance. And so that's why I go back to who can be most consistent. You know, they have an idea from spring. They know what everybody looked like during the summer. Now you've got these practice sessions leading up to game one. And frankly, you even have the season when it's going to be this tight of a competition for those snaps. You know, when you get your opportunity, whether it's in practice or a game, if you perform, then you're going to give yourself a chance to see the field more. And yeah, you can say, yeah, it's that way at every position. But this one, I think a little bit more than some of the others because of how tight it's been.